As we approach the top of the hour, we welcome you back to our studios here. This is Get Up. We are live above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. I'm Greeny. I'm by myself, but I'm by no means alone this morning. The guest list has been jam-packed, and we're taking it up a notch in a moment with Charles Barkley, who will join us in just a second. It is the trade that stunned the sports world. Saturday night, Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. The 25-year-old Doncic arriving in L.A. last night, meeting with the Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka. Back in Dallas, the Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison had fascinating comments when asked about trading away a young superstar just entering his prime.
Listen, one thing about me, I'm not going to talk bad about any players. That's not going to do, us or me any good. I just say there's levels to it. And there's people that fit the culture, and there's people that come in and add to the culture. And those are two distinct things. And I believe the people that were coming in are adding to the culture.
That is a very interesting thing for him to say. Michael Wilbon will join us in a second. The great Charles Barkley is up with us early today. Charles, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. That was a very, let's just start there. That was a fascinating thing for Nico Harrison. What did you take away from that?
Well, I want to give him his flowers, Greeny, for standing up. He didn't run. A lot of general managers, when they make trades, they put out statements or they don't go right to the press conference. I want to give Nico his flowers for standing up, saying what he had to say it for. He stood on business. Now we're going to sit back and watch. This is going to be one of the best reality TV shows probably in the history of sports. Greta, this trade was a shocker for a couple reasons. Number one, it came out of nowhere, first and foremost. But secondly, what's really intriguing, not normally when you trade a great player, you get a bunch of junk in return. The Mavs got a great Anthony Davis. So Luka's great. Anthony Davis is great. This is going to be one of the most fascinating things. And the thing is, it's going to be fascinating probably for the next 10 years. The Mavs won the trade for the immediate next three or 4 years, but the Lakers got a bright future if they put the right pieces around Luka.
All right, I'm told Michael Wilbon is ready with us as well now from the studios in D.C. We welcome him in. Michael, thank you so much for doing this for us here. I want everyone to hear, Charles, what you were saying to me in the break as we were making sure that you could hear me and I could hear you. You were saying, you boiled it down to its simplest point. At the end of the day, why did this trade get made? Why were the Mavericks insistent or willing to walk away from a player and not pay him $350 million?
Well, some of you guys have made some great points. Brian always does a great job. Monica was great. Perk has some great things to say. Listen, none of us know what's happening behind the scenes with the Mavericks. But with this new collective bargaining agreement, they've got to give him 5 years, $350 million. Let me repeat that, because I'm like, wow. 5 years, $350 million. They know him better than anybody. They said, we don't think this guy's he's got something going on. He doesn't get in shape. He's not a great defender. Do we trust him? And they're like, we don't trust him. It's that plain. It's that simple. There's going to be a lot of noise going on around here. But the Mavericks, who know him better than anybody, the coaches and guys around there, the general manager says, we cannot give this guy 5 years, $350 million. That's the bottom line, plain and simple.
Michael Wilbon, good morning, and thank you for this. How about that? How about the Mavericks being willing to part with a 25-year-old, he'll be 26 at the end of this month, player whose offensive numbers compare favorably with those of basically anyone who ever lived?
It's stunning. It's a stunning not a development, just a move. To be sitting around like I was still awake. Greeny, dealing with you is like dealing with Kornheiser. You guys are in bed at a time where I could be in Asia because I'm like 12 hours different than you and Tony. Charles and I are on more of the same schedule. I called Charles the moment I heard about this trade. It's like 1 a.m. Eastern. Chuck knows he had a voicemail from me saying, "What is this? Was Shams hacked? I don't even believe this. That's how shocking it was. I know you and Tony Kornheiser were sound asleep. Chuck and I were not. But it's so stunning, and it's not a secret, Greeny. Everybody knows that people feel in the industry, around teams, opposing players, all-time great players like Charles, Luka's not in shape. He hasn't been in shape. He doesn't get there. Or he starts camp there. There are people out there now that I talked to yesterday saying he's like 265 pounds or north of it. That's not sustainable to be great. Ask Zion Williamson how that goes. So the Mavericks are seeing all these tissue injuries. He's playing fewer and fewer games. People talk about Anthony Davis missing games. Luka hasn't played in more than 70 games but once in his career. One time. He plays in the 60s all the time. This year, he's played 22 games. So as great as he is, and my God, he is great, and he is box office. Anthony Davis, not box office, so he is a great two-way player. But as great as Luka is, you're going to commit to $350-some million, just like Charles just said. When you can't convince a guy to get in shape, maybe it'll turn out different. Maybe this is the slap in the face he needs. Because the Mavericks have said, you're not the alpha male you think you are, or you've been that, but we don't think you're that going forward. And so LeBron James, he's going to go, presuming LeBron is there, he's going to go team up with a guy who is legendary for being in the best possible shape of any human being playing the game, on a short list of all-timers with Kareem, with Kobe, with Tom Brady, if you want to go cross-sport, with Derek Jeter. Can he understand that to be the greatest player he can be and worth a $350 million commitment, he's got to be in a condition that he's not in? Can he do that? So that's largely why Nico Harrison said, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to commit to this.
Charles, so maybe LeBron James can fill the role for him that Moses Malone once did for you. You told me this story before. I'd love you to share with our audience the story of how Moses Malone maybe completely reshaped your life and your career.
He totally reshaped my life and my entire career. You know, Greeny, I was having great success in college. You can be fat in high school. You can be fat in college and have success. You cannot be fat in the pros. You can have some success, but you can't be great. So I wasn't getting to play, and I was the number 5 pick in the draft. And I asked Moses one day, could I come see him? And I said, Moses, why am I not getting to play? He said, you're fat and you're lazy. And I was like, what? He says, Charles, you can play. You're a good player. You can never be a great player. He said, you're going to have success, but you can never be an all-time unless you get in shape. And Greeny, he took me under my wing, and he made me lose 50 pounds. And the rest is history. The problem with Luka and Zion Williamson, both guys who need to get in shape, they already made men. There's nobody in Dallas, there's nobody in New Orleans can tell Luka, Brian Windhorst and Mike, and we've been talking about it for 3 or 4 years. He clearly is not watching us on television talking, man, this guy's a great player. If he ever got in shape, he could be even better. Same thing with Zion, but because they have so much power, nobody on the team in New Orleans can say to Zion, man, you as good as you are, you're talented, but you could be superstar if you got in shape. Same thing with Luka. He's always hurt. Mike just said it, and he can't guard anybody. And Nico, hey, listen, Nico risked his job. Number one, I gave him his flowers earlier because he stood there and took y'all questions. He didn't want to say it. I don't know if this guy's going to get in shape. I can't risk giving him $350 million. I got to give that guy his credit. He made a decision. Now, it's one of those decisions where you're either going to lose your job or keep your job. But like Monica said and Perk said, the Dallas Mavericks, the Lakers, that's going to be fascinating because I don't think Luka and LeBron can play together. That's my personal opinion. Because neither one of them can play without the ball. That's going to be very fascinating. So we're looking at them down the line. I think they brought LeBron in to be a mentor for Luka. Like Mike just said it, LeBron's body is incredible. He's one of the greatest players ever. But from condition, I think they're hoping that rubs off on Luka. but I don't think they're going to have great success together. But the Dallas Mavericks have already stepped to the table. They're the second best team in the West. And listen, I love OKC, but the Dallas Mavericks are the second best team. When we wake up today, the Dallas Mavericks are the second best team in the West, plain and simple.
Can we put up A20, please? Because, Charles, I hear what you're saying. Most of the people talking here have agreed with you. Las Vegas does not. A20 shows you the following. According to ESPN Bet, the Lakers were 40-1 to win the title when we woke up Saturday morning. They're now 16-1. The Mavericks were 25-1. Those odds have fallen to 33-1. I feel like I can hear... Charles, go.
Let me tell you something. I love Brian Windhorst. He smacked you so hard over the face this morning when you said that bogus-ass stat. That is one of the... Anybody think that's legit? Come on. Anybody think that's legit? There's no way, if you know anything about basketball, you think the Lakers with a bunch of little 6'5", 6'7" guys running around out there compared to Anthony Davis, Lively, Gafford, Kyrie, Clay, Quinn Grove. If you think that Laker team right now is better than the Mavs, that's the stupidest. Listen, that's why they build those pretty buildings in the desert. People are stupid.
Let the record show it's not a stat, Michael. It is actually what the odds were and what they are now for the record. Do you agree with that, Michael?
It is to be ignored.
The Mavericks?
It is to be ignored. Chuck is right. You know this is going to happen. Remember, people forget what odds are for. They are to not just encourage, they are to entice betting. So we're going to say the Lakers are better now and a greater favorite because we want you people to build more palaces in the desert, as Charles points out. It doesn't mean anything, and it is to be ignored at all costs. So the Lakers could be great now in a 6-4 and under league, but you have to actually go out. Do you see what Cleveland's done? Why is Cleveland in the position they're in? Yes, they got some great players who are smaller players, but they got some size. They got multiple guys who can talented multiple people. And so if Anthony Davis and Lively can get to the playoffs and be healthy, I don't know if they're going to keep Gafford and Lively. I would think so at this point. But when you got that kind of size and talent, and you still have Kyrie, and you still have PJ Washington, by the way, and maybe his situation changes, I lean more. And Greeny, at first, my reaction was, wow, what did Dallas just do? And then listening to Charles and to Perk and talking to Perk back and forth Sunday night late and Saturday night and yesterday, I lean more toward them. In the short term, Dallas has a shot. And by the way, if you're Nico, here's why you take the shot. As controversial as it is, as hard as it is to send Luka packing, you got 3 teams in your neighborhood, in your backyard. They're coming to get you. They're coming to get the league. OKC, Houston, and San Antonio. They're coming to get you. So Kyrie, by the time Kyrie is ready and Anthony Davis in 3-4 years are going to be sort of on the downside done, those teams are going to be, if not dominating the league, certainly just changing spots at the top of the Western Conference, and Nico Harrison knows that.
All right, so there's all of that. We'll see what happens in the short run. Charles, there's something I'm fascinated by, and you're one of the few people walking the planet who can understand it. LeBron James is at the very end of one of the greatest careers of all time. He's 40 years old, however much time he has remaining in his career. I will compare him to aging quarterbacks in the NFL. Aging quarterbacks don't like it when their teams make deals for the future. They like it when their teams make deals that will help them win in the little window they have left. If you're LeBron James, put yourself in his shoes. How would you feel about this, and what would you want the last year or two of your career to look like now that AD is gone and Luka's there?
You know, Greta, that is a great question. This, to me, is the first time the Lakers made a decision where they didn't care what LeBron thought. Mm-hmm. You know, they've done everything that he was asked. And, you know, they bought in AD, so that, you know, because of the clutch sports. This, to me, was the first decision that the Lakers made, like, we got to think about life after LeBron. So, listen, LeBron, it ends for everybody. But I got to give the Lakers credit. This is the first trade they've ever made where they probably didn't discuss it with him. They didn't decide who to hire or fire as a coach. This was the first decision I think they've ever made where they're like, at some point we got to do what's best for the Lakers. I think that's a great question. I think it's really important because nobody who knows anything about basketball think LeBron and Luka can play together. Both of those guys are great, but neither one of them can play without the ball. So, but this is the first decision I think the Lakers have ever made, but they're like, hey, you know what? It's over or almost over for LeBron. We've got to do something for the future. And that's what they did, in my opinion.
So if the future, Charles, in Los Angeles is Luka Doncic and J.J. Redick, where does that leave LeBron? Do you think he ends his career as a Laker?
Well, listen, I think if the perfect – now, listen, that's actually a really good question also. If I'm LeBron, I got this year, I got 3 days, and I might got next year. If there's a perfect situation, like Tom Brady, everybody want to give – and we all love Tom. Tom picked out the perfect situation in Tampa Bay to go out as a champion. LeBron has that type of cachet. He could pick in the next 3 days before Thursday, or he could roll it out to next year because the Lakers are not going to win the championship in the next 2 years. But they could do something where he could go to the perfect situation like Tom Brady did and win the championship. So that's still on the table. It's not going to happen with the Lakers. The Lakers are mediocre at best. They're the second best person in They're the second best team in LA. The Clippers even got a better team. They're not a contender, but the LeBron situation is interesting because if I'm Rob Pelinka, I call LeBron because now they got to start stockpiling assets to help Luka going down the road. I would have a conversation, LeBron, where could we trade you this year or next year where you have a legit shot to win the championship and we get a good couple pieces or some good draft pick? I think that has to be on the table.
I'm with you. And Charles, since I have a limited time with you, I'll come back to you on that. Does that situation exist that you can see? Can you see a team right now that could be LeBron's Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, OKC is not it. The Mavs are not it. I actually, to be honest with you, I swing for the Warriors. I would. I would try. First of all, it would be must-watch television to see Steph and LeBron play together. I'm just thinking, just off the top of my head, I think the Warriors would be fascinating because, listen, Steph and LeBron together, people have been talking about it for years. How about the Spurs? The Spurs got De'Aaron Fox, Wemby, LeBron. They got 100 draft picks. I'm telling you, if I'm the Warriors or the Spurs, because for De'Aaron to learn from LeBron and Wemby to learn from LeBron the next couple of years, those are two places I can see would be fascinating.
Michael, I've been campaigning for LeBron to the Warriors for a year. Everyone has made fun of me. I've got 3 days for it to happen in this window. What do you think, Michael Wilbon?
Greeny, I've been agitating for LeBron to the Warriors every day this season. I don't think the Warriors can win this year that way, but I completely agree with Charles. We know it's must-see TV. Really. You can just, I'm sorry, I'm sure our bosses will get angry, Greeny. You just put the Warriors and the Lakers on every game if LeBron goes to the Warriors, but to put him, think about how infused with a new energy Steph and Draymond would be. Now, you'd have to, give up a couple of guys that are important, but the Warriors are not going to win either. And Steph is, what is Steph now, 36? So you mean to tell me that Steph and LeBron and Draymond wouldn't love attempting to play together under Steve Kerr? I believe they would have to love that. And by the way, we'd be talking about a short term. Remember, after next week, there's only going to be 30 games left in the NBA season. So you're talking about 30 games and the playoffs. So in a 7-game series, you draw a team with LeBron and Steph and Draymond Green, motivated and presumably healthy. So I'm like, Charles raises an interesting point with San Antonio. That's why when Chris Paul went there and people said, why would Chris do that? I'm like, because Chris is going to expedite this entire situation. And he has. If people look at where Wembanyama and where San Antonio are now, and then you get De'Aaron Fox, I mean, look, the Spurs are coming to get you. Again, I go back to Spurs, Rockets, OKC, maybe in reverse order. They're coming for you. And so that means Dallas too. That's why Dallas has got this short-term window open now situation. But LeBron, I want to see LeBron. Why not walk into, the Clutch Sports offices and say, listen, this has been great. I've loved it. I got a ring in LA. But Wilt played in Philadelphia. Chuck knows this. He played in Philly and lived in New York. He did it for years. That's the same commute as LA to Golden State. LeBron wouldn't have to move. He wouldn't have to do anything but be with those guys that he already loves.
Steph will be 37 in March, so that's where that situation would be. Okay, Charles, let's finish it up on Luka, because this is a 25, soon-to-be 26-year-old superstar, and we understand what some of the drawbacks are. But the reality is he has led teams that, at least in my opinion, were not as good as some of the teams they beat on pretty deep playoff runs in his career. They went to the Western Conference Final a few years ago. They went to the NBA Final last year. If you sort of project, do the Lakers have their new star? The Lakers have always been about having a superstar. Is Luka Doncic going to be that for the next decade for the Los Angeles Lakers?
Well, number one, this has to be a wake-up call for him. To hear all these guys on television, your old team talking about you being out of shape, at some point, you have to say, you know what? If everybody said the exact same thing, maybe they're right. I got to get in shape. That's the first thing. And the second part of your hey, listen, they got their man for the next 10 years for sure. But this has to be a wake-up call for Luka, because, Mike, nobody want to turn on TV and says, man, all these dudes on TV telling me I'm out of shape. Well, maybe you're out of shape. And I hope this is a wake-up, because he's a great kid and a great player. But to hear all of us, myself included, saying this dude's not in shape, it has to be a wake-up call. And he's going to be great with the Lakers. But for them to go to the next level, he's going to get in shape.
But let me just zero in on one thing on that, Charles. I get it. We can all see what you're talking about, and we understand the defense is a liability. But even out of shape, he has put up numbers that compare favorably with literally anybody, and his team has done some pretty high-level winning during that time. So even out of shape, Luka Doncic, I think he finished third in the MVP voting last year, and his team went to the NBA Finals. One might argue that's pretty good all by itself, even in this condition.
It is pretty good, but you at the end of the day, when you're that great, people gonna hold. First of all, I know this personally. No matter how great you are, if you don't win a championship, people gonna hold that against you. That's the life we have chosen. You're great, but you haven't won a championship. I have to live with that. Karl Malone has to live with that. Patrick Ewing, as great as we were, and Luka's on that list right now. That's just the way it is. It's nothing. Hey, this is business, man. Like New Jack Wesley Snipes. This is business. It's nothing personal. He hasn't won a championship. I haven't won a championship. And until he wins it, people are going to hold that against him, plain and simple.
Charles Barkley, this is so great of you. Thank you so much for being there when we called you yesterday. Thanks for getting up early this morning, and thank you for sharing all your perspective. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you. Michael Wilbon is going to stay with us as we continue here. We have much more. Back, Hambo and Michael Wilbon. This is a question designed to make a point. Among these players, which one has been named first-team All-NBA, Michael, the most times? Russell, Moses, Dirk, or Luka?
Well, this is good. Listen, the natural reaction, the greatest player on that list is Bill Russell. There's no question about that. But Russell, first team, back then you had to vote for one center. And I guarantee you, people were dazzled more by Wilt. And even though Wilt lost to Russell so many times, Wilt probably was first team more times than Russ. So I'm going to say Russ couldn't have been 5 times. Dirk was not 5 times. He had Karl Malone in front of him at that position. So now we're talking Moses or Luka. 5 times. Moses, man, this is hard. Moses was MVP, at least twice.
Twice.
But I'm going to say, this kills me as an old guy to say Luka. But Luka's been it 5 times. First team, I'm going to say Luka.
And that is correct. And that is the point. Well done by you. And that is the point we are trying to make. He has been an All-NBA first-teamer each of the last 5 years. He took his team to the NBA Finals last season. And people are coming on the show today and telling me the Lakers got fleeced. Make it make sense one way or another. Here was Charles Barkley earlier this morning talking about the new look Lakers.
The Lakers, that's going to be fascinating because I don't think Luka and LeBron can play together. That's my personal opinion. Because neither one of them can play without the ball. That's going to be very fascinating. So we're looking at them down the line. I think they brought LeBron in to be a mentor for Luka. Like Mike just said it, LeBron's body is incredible. He's one of the greatest players ever. But from conditioning, I think they're hoping that rubs off on Luka. But I don't think they're going to have great success together.
And that brings us back to Big Perk, who rejoins us, and Wendy, who rejoins us. Thank you, guys, for Big Perk. Why are you making that face?
Charles talking about he don't think that Luka and Bron could work. Stephen A. talking about if he's LeBron James, LeBron James should waive his no trade clause and go to Golden State.
Right.
Both of those guys have lost their damn minds.
Why?
When you think about LeBron James and Luka, they're still in right now with this team currently constructed. It's second round. They're not done. They're going to add some more pieces. Listen, LeBron James got it done with Kyrie Irving. LeBron James got it done with Dwayne Wade. LeBron James got it done with Rajon Rondo. Okay, when you think about LeBron, not only is LeBron one of the best guys to ever play the game, but he's one of the best cutters to ever play the game. And then when you think about Luka, everybody thought that Luka and Kyrie wasn't going to match well. And what ended up happening? They went to the NBA Finals. When you have 2 guys that have high basketball IQs like those 2 guys do, they're going to win games and they're going to make noise in the playoffs. With this roster the way that it is, I believe that Rob Pelinka is still out there searching the market to bring in the athletic center. They bring in a dynamic roller with J.J. Redick, the way that he's reconstructed this offense, they're going to be dangerous in the postseason. Hell yeah, they could play together. I don't know what the hell they talking about.
Wendy.
Well, Pelinka better get that person, because I hear what Perk's saying about them playing together. My issue is totally different. Size and defense, they're worse. They're not good enough. There's no defense. LeBron, who at one time was, an all-time great defender, is not that player anymore. We know that defensively. And Luka just started trying to play defense last year in the playoffs, because we talked about it, how his effort, increased, and he was a okay defender at best. So the Lakers are dreadful defensively. They have no size. So Pelinka better go find that guy. I don't know if that guy is on the bench in Washington not being played now. A 7-footer who can get you 15 and 9 a night, but is not athletic, not all that athletic. I don't know if he can fit that role. But I don't know how many people are out there, but to me, the West is so, if Denver's playing better and Dallas is going to reemerge, and San Antonio's going to be a tough out. They're going to be difficult in the playoffs now. I just don't see the Lakers with size and defense. It matters in the postseason.
Let me get Wendy in here, because we had 2 big deals made yesterday also that got no attention because of the overwhelming nature here. What else are we looking at here? What else can the Lakers do? What else are we looking at in the next few days before the Thursday deadline?
Well, the Lakers absolutely did not get fleeced, Greeny. The value that they got for trading Anthony Davis in a first-round pick is one of the greatest values that I've ever seen in the NBA. Because not only do they have in this prime superstar with Luka, they have stuff that they can still trade to improve this team. They have another first-round pick. They have Austin Reeves if they want to trade him. They have all these pick swaps. They can swap these picks that they haven't done yet. They have very significant assets that they can use to upgrade this roster. But they're going to have to upgrade it because it's not ready right now. They will not be able to defend, Perk. They have all perimeter guys who are poor defenders. They got to restructure their roster. Their whole world just changed in the last 48 hours. Their whole team and their whole concept and their whole plan changed.
I understand that, but they wasn't great defensively even with Anthony Davis.
And now they're worse.
So if you
could
go out right, so if you could go out and you could go get a young man from Utah and Walker Kessler, now that changes the whole thing, the whole situation. But again, I just saw this Laker team without Luka and without Anthony Davis go into Madison Square Garden this weekend and put a spanking on the New York Knicks. And you're going to tell me, and I'm just listening to all this nonsense, that LeBron James and Luka Doncic can't work together?
I didn't say that.
Quick.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying this Laker
Wendy.
team, is incomplete. Give them a couple of transaction windows.
I'm with you on that. Last thing, Greeny.
Yes.
No one thought that we'll be saying right now today that Russell Westbrook and Jokic has one of the better two-man games in the NBA.
That's probably right, and maybe a topic for another time. Final word here, Michael Wilbon. I want to give it to you because you and I were texting about this briefly yesterday. I have less than a minute. You've been around this thing forever, covering sports as long and as well as anyone I know. Is this the biggest trade you can remember? What compares to this?
Well, the fact that there was no run-up. We didn't know. There was no warning. But listen, Babe Ruth was traded.
Well,
right?
yeah.
Wilt was traded. Wayne Gretzky was traded. Those three guys, I mean, they're bigger than Luka. This was huge. Don't get me wrong. When you start calling people because you think Sharms' account was hacked, It's huge. It's enormous, and it's enormous in our time now, in the context of now. But there are greater players. Kareem was traded. So there are players who at the time and of all time are among the greatest in their sport, and they were traded. So,
but not for another all-time great. That's where it's different. That's what we've never seen an all-NBA player traded for a current all-NBA player. That one-sided trades where a team is getting out with, but never. Nobody even remembers who Kareem was traded for. Maybe you do, but nobody does. This is
unfortunately, I'm out of time. First Take is going to take.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.